Welcome to Just Asia, AHRC TV's weekly human rights program. These are the headlines. Protesters injured by Nepal police tear gas. India's Kerala suffering from worst floods. Vietnam court sentences activists to 20 years for vague charges. Kofi Annan dies at 80. Indonesia's Talang Sari massacre victims disappointed at president inaction. China denies detention camps for Uyghurs. Welcome to AHRC TV's Just Asia. I'm Alexandra. This week, Just Asia begins with Nepal, where police have fired 5 rounds of tear gas and baton-charged protesters in Kachanpur district. 4 rounds of tear gas shells were fired in front of the district administration office, while another was shot in front of Dashrath Chanchok. 2 protesters were injured, while another 2 were arrested. Protesters were protesting at the arrest of Dilip Singh Bista on the rape and murder charge of 13-year-old Nirmala Pant. Nirmala was found raped and murdered on July 27 in a sugarcane field, a day after she was reported missing. The autopsy report showed that the teenager had been raped and strangulated to death. Nepal saw nationwide protests after her body was found, and authorities forced Nirmala's family to cremate her body in a hurry. This was widely criticized. 26 days later, police arrested Dilip Singh and paraded him before the media. Nirmala's father, Nagya Raj Panta, admitted that the police made him file a case against Bista under pressure. Kanchanpur residents claim that Dilip Singh is mentally disturbed and cannot be the murderer. They also claim that the police arrested him to hide the real culprit, or because they could not find the real culprit. They are demanding that the police catch the real culprit. Next, India's state of Kerala is experiencing one of the worst floods since 1924. Between June 1st to August 18th, Kerala received 42% excess rainfall, with the hilly region of Idukki receiving 83% excess rainfall. This has caused unprecedented flooding, with the death toll nearing 400. The central government has declared the situation as a calamity of severe nature. According to officials, more than 200,000 families have taken refuge at relief camps across the state, with floodwaters slowly receding. Kerala faces the enormous challenge of preventing epidemics and disease, as well as rehabilitation and reconstruction. Parts of the bordering state of Karnataka, like Kodagu and Udupi, have also experienced floods and devastation, and relief efforts are underway. The Kerala government is spearheading relief efforts, with considerable effort by people across India to send supplies and money for the victims. In Vietnam, a court sentenced a dissident writer and activist to 20 years in prison on the fact charges of trying to overthrow the government. Le Dinh Duong, a veteran of Vietnam's 1979 border war with China, was arrested July 24th and accused of calling for a boycott of parliamentary elections in 2016 and of being a member of the US-based Vietnamese opposition party Viet Thanh, regarded by Vietnam as a terrorist organization. Witnesses that could have given testimony to clear Luong were blocked from the courtroom during the one-day trial, Radio Free Asia reported. Luong has also posted on Facebook a call for compensation for fishermen affected by the April 2016 waste spill by Taiwan-owned Formosa Plastics Group steel plant, an environmental disaster that led to widespread protests and arrests in coastal provinces affected by the spill. Amnesty International called for Luong's immediate and unconditional release. Kofi Annan, the first Black African to head the United Nations, passed away on Saturday after a short illness. His wife and 3 children were by his side at the time, at a hospital in Bern, Switzerland. His home country of Ghana has declared a week of mourning. Annan served 2 terms as UN Secretary General from 1997 to 2006 and was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize for his humanitarian work. He later served as the UN Special Envoy for Syria, leading efforts to find a solution to the conflict. Current UN Chief Antonio Guterres has been leading the tributes to his predecessor, describing Annan as a guiding force for good. In many ways, Kofi Annan was in the United Nations. He rose through the ranks to lead the organization into the new millennium with matchless dignity and determination, he said in a statement. Annan's critics blamed him for the UN's failure to halt the genocide in Rwanda in the 1990s when he was head of the organization's peacekeeping operations. Later, after the US-led invasion of Iraq, he and his son were accused of being involved in the oil for food corruption scandals, although he was later exonerated. In 2007, he set up his own foundation aimed at promoting global sustainable development, security, and peace. In 2012, he was made chair of the Elders, a peace and human rights advocacy group started by South Africa's Nelson Mandela. Moving to Indonesia, the Association of Victims and Family of Victims of Talang Sari Massacre jointly organized a workshop in Lampung province together with the Asian Human Rights Commission. Also present at the workshop was a commissioner from the National Commissions on Human Rights. The workshop discussed President Widodo's policy on human rights. According to the Talang Sari victims, the government is unwilling to resolve past human rights abuses. Despite President Widodo meeting 3 of their representatives on May 31st at the Presidential Palace, along with other victim groups, 3 months after the meeting, the government has taken no effort to resolve the case or provide any remedy to victims. Nearly 250 persons were killed and disappeared in Talang Sari massacre. When the military attacked a village in Talang Sari, Lampung, Indonesia's National Human Rights Commission submitted its report into the 1989 massacre to the Attorney General in 2010. But since then, the Attorney General has done nothing to initiate investigation or prosecution. The workshop also discussed the 2019 presidential election and the chances of seeking justice under the new president. There is little choice, however, with candidates remaining the same. President Widodo has formally announced his candidacy, while retired Army Lieutenant General Prabowo Subianto is also running. Prabowo was allegedly involved in enforced disappearances under Suharto, as well as abuse cases in East Timor. Lastly, China has insisted there is no arbitrary detention and no re-education centers for its Uyghur minority in Western Xinjiang. Beijing was responding to concerns raised by a UN Human Rights Committee last week that more than 1 million ethnic Uyghurs may be held in camps. According to estimates, more than 1 million people from China's Uyghur and other Muslim minorities are being held in counter-extremism centers, and another 2 million have been forced into re-education camps. China's delegation told the UN this was completely untrue and that there is no suppression of ethnic minorities and violations of their freedom of religious belief in the name of counter-terrorism. However, Chinese delegate Hu Lianhe also said those who are deceived by religious extremism shall be assisted through resettlement and education. Beijing has said Xinjiang faces a serious threat from Islamic militants and separatists who plot attacks and stir up tensions between the mostly Muslim Uyghur minority, who call the region home, and the ethnic Han Chinese majority. That is all for this episode of Just Asia. For more on this and other issues, please visit www.humanrights.asia or www.alrc.asia/justasia. Thank you for watching and see you next week.